All right, so welcome everybody. My name is Matt Likens. I am co-president along with Ted Caudill of the Talawanda Educators Association. This is the first time we have run a town hall debate style structure for election season. We have done endorsements for the past 3 election cycles where we would call the candidates in one at a time and then meet with them with a panel of our own TEA reps who have volunteered for the job, and then put out a formal endorsement after that. We think that this is kind of a natural progression, and we really appreciate you guys coming, and we hope we can have a civil and interesting evening for you. Lost my words. It's been a long week already. So, first I do want to thank several people. I want to thank Pastor Lawrence Bartell of the Oxford Presbyterian Church, who's going to be serving as our moderator tonight. I especially want to thank the Oxford Lane Library, who let me know yesterday morning that there was a fire in the children's department, not on my bingo board of all the things that I was concerned about this week, but that nobody was hurt and that they had restoration and cleaning like mad so they could reopen today. And at 9 o'clock last night, Rebecca Smith called me to tell me everything was good, and God bless them, another reason to love the library. So thank goodness for that. In addition to Rebecca Smith, Sasha Levine, who's probably, no, she's not out there. I think I chased her off. I was, despite all of their stresses the last 2 days, I think I came in and made it worse. So she very patiently, but I think frustratingly, listened to all my questions this afternoon when I came in to bother her. So thank you to Sasha as well. I'd like to thank Andy Zimmerman's and Matt Arney's digital media class. We are renting their services tonight and renting the equipment so that we are able to put together a video of our night so that we can post it for those who are unable to make it tonight. I'd like to thank our PTG and Booster Associations who we canvassed for questions, and the questions that Pastor Lawrence will be asking tonight are an amalgamation of those questions. We have about 16 of them. And finally, I'd like to thank and introduce our candidates from right by Pastor Lawrence on. So we have Mr. Corey Fry, we have Mr. Tom Heisler, we have Mr. Pat Mead, and we have Mr. Matt Wyatt. And the way this will be run is each of our candidates were given the opportunity to prepare a 90-second opening statement introducing themselves and why they're running for Talawanda School Board. We'll then proceed to questioning. There's 16 or 17 questions. Each will get a minute to answer. We'll go in a kind of round-robin format where Mr. Fry will begin to answer the first question and we'll go through, and then Mr. Heisler will go and answer so nobody has to go first or last and stuff like that. We will have a timer for each person. I'm running the time. I have been practicing with it all week, but it's entirely possible that I will mess it up, in which case I will allow them to start again because I hope that they give me some grace. And then when we reach around 7:15 or so, we will finish up the questions and then let all the candidates have 60 seconds for a closing statement. So that's kind of how we're going to run it. Just briefly, the Board of Education represents those willing to put politics aside in an effort to responsibly and emphatically or empathetically steward our district and community. The gentlemen on the stage have all decided to sacrifice time and effort to serve the Talawanda students and community, and all deserve to be heard tonight. To that end, we ask this is a civil event dedicated to the same principles. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Pastor Lawrence, who's going to introduce our first candidate.
Thank you, Matt. There we go. Thank you, gentlemen. Oh, great. Oh, look at that. The court works. Matt, thank you. And I want to thank Mr. Likens and the Talawanda Educators Association for sponsoring this town hall. And thank you to each of the 4 school board candidates. As Matt mentioned a moment ago, I'm honored to serve as the pastor of Oxford Presbyterian Church. And in addition to the enduring Presbyterian values and a deep commitment to education, I'm the grateful parent of 2 Talawanda graduates, as well as a foreign exchange student who was here through the Rotary Youth Exchange Program. Vibrant public education is woven into the fabric of our community and our nation. And we tonight, I'm grateful to each and every one of you to be weavers of community gathered in this time and place. So we will actively model listening as we create community. I will begin with Mr. Fry, Candidate Fry, to introduce yourself, and you have 90 seconds for this introduction. And then go ahead and just pass it on down the line for each candidate. And then I will come and begin with Candidate Fry for the first question tonight. Matt?
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
I just want to thank everyone for showing up here this evening. I want to thank the TEA for putting on the event. I want to thank the candidates here, and also the sitting board members. It's very commendable what you do of serving the community, and thank you, Tom, for willing to serve the community. About myself, I am a 20-year resident of the district. My wife works at Bogan Elementary in the preschool room, and I have 2 students currently in the Talawanda School District, both at the high school, a junior and a freshman. A little about why I wanted to run for school board. Over the last year, I've seen a lot of infighting and bickering back and forth, not only just at the schools, but also in the community. I want to bring everybody back together with that. I want to put the students first and return the focus to the students with civil, open dialogue. Everything that we do should be focusing on the students. I want the politics out of the school, and that's both sides. The focus should be on education, not indoctrination. And I think for the most part, most of our teachers do pretty well with that. And I want accountability. The accountability needs to happen both at the student level and the staff level. Then the fiscal responsibility. I believe that over the last several months, we've talked a lot about reduction in funds to the schools, and I believe we should start really looking at how we're spending the money now before it's starting to be reduced.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Good evening, Tom Heisler. Thank you for inviting me to participate in your town hall forum. I hope that you all did your homework and reviewed my webpage and Facebook social media. I believe I have a lot to offer the Talawanda School District. I'm a proud product of public education. My sister is a retired special ed teacher. I'm a husband, a father, a grandfather, and a tax-paying member of this community. I have a desire to give back to our community and a vision for the Talawanda School District. I envision us becoming #1 district in Butler County and eventually in the region. Attaining this vision starts with fiscal responsibility. Our administrative costs are raising disproportionately to enrollment, which diverts funds from our classrooms and students. We need to embrace educational innovations, which have proven results and can be great tools for our educators. Reaching and maintaining the #1 status can't be done without input and help from everyone in the district. The school board, administrators, educators, and parents, all working together to achieve the same goal. Along the way, we may have differing views on best paths to achieve that goal, but through it all, attaining the goal is paramount. My many years in business have refined my determination and self-discipline. With fresh perspectives and out-of-the-box thinking, we can revise our playbook and make a united path into a brilliant future for our children and grandchildren. I don't claim to have all the answers, but with my financial and business background, I will bring new ideas and positive transformation to the district. I believe we have great educational talent within the district, and together we can accomplish this goal. I look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
I also want to thank the TEA for hosting this event. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Pat Mead. I have been in this community 53 years. My wife and I raised all 6 of our children here. They all went to Talawanda schools. And as most of you know, my wife Lois was a speech pathologist here for 22 years. And we now have our 3rd grandchild in Talawanda schools. So my family's life has been intertwined with this district basically forever, it seems like. I think I'm uniquely qualified to be a member of the school board. I've taught in K-12 schools for 40 years. 10 of those at Catholic schools, 30 as a Butler Tech teacher at Talawanda with, quote, at-risk kids. I think that perspective is very important to have on the board, the perspective of someone who is in the trenches, where most of you have been the past few years. The other thing, I take my board position seriously. In the last 8 years, I've been to countless conferences and webinars to learn how to be a board member, to learn what's required. I serve on the Butler Tech Board and the Southwest Ohio Regional Board, and on those boards I interact with members from other places, and I've learned so much about being a board member and staying in my lane and doing what a board member is supposed to do. The only agenda I have as a board member is to serve the students and the staff and the parents of Talawanda. And I'm committed to the success of all of our students. I'm also committed to financial stability, which we have maintained over the last 8 years. Thank you.
My name is Matt Wyatt. And the question is really, why are we running for school board? And it really goes back to some fundamental core values that I have that my parents gave me. That when I think about it is really the reason why I find myself on the Talawanda Board of Education right now at this moment. My parents taught me fundamentally to stand up to bullies. They also told me to step up when called to serve. And when I served 10 years on the school board in Kentucky, and when I moved to Ohio, the absolute last thing I really ever wanted to do, especially after COVID, was to be on a school board again. I thought I had seen it all. Talawanda said, hold my beer, relax. So, but when I saw that a school board member, who I didn't know any of the school board members, I had never stepped foot. This is a very unique situation. I had never stepped foot on the property of Talawanda. But when I saw that a school board member had been bullied off the board by a fellow board member and some other folks in the community, it pissed me off badly. So I decided to offer myself up. If they wanted to appoint me, I had experience, I could do this for a year. And then someone could step in and take over. When I got on the board, that was quick. That was so quick.
Go ahead and finish your sentence, please.
When I got on the board, it's been a wild ride, and I look forward to continue to talk about that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you to each of our candidates for your opening statements. So Candidate Fry, we begin with you, and then we'll just go down the line. Again, you have 60 seconds to answer this question. Candidate Fry, what are the 3 priorities you would like to see addressed in your first year on the board?
Well, the first thing that needs to be addressed is just returning civility back to the board and to the community. The second part is politics out of the school. The third is returning the focus back to the students. Those are the three large things that we need to do. Now, the open and clear and respectful dialogue should solve the first problem. Open dialogue with the community with honest answers. Then, as far as this returning the focus back to the students, I believe that there is a lot that we can do to allow that. I'm having a brain fart, so forgive me. So, thank you.
Very good. Mr. Ransom.
Yeah. So I agree with what Corey's saying first about the civility. I think we need to tone down the rhetoric. We have to focus on children and leave our personal hurts and whatever on the side. That's why the school board is here. It's to to serve the children and not fight amongst ourselves. We can have differences of opinion, and I imagine we all will have differences of opinion, but it doesn't have to get nasty. Number 2, I think one of the big challenges that's facing us is going to be AI. I think we're going to have to address AI sooner than later. There's so many facets to that. How much should we use it in the school? How much should teachers use it as a tool? How much should kids be able to use it as part of their completion of homework.
Go ahead and finish your sentence.
So again, I just think that that's going to be a really big focus that we need to make in current.
Thank you, Tom. Pat, would you like me to repeat the question?
Is it three main priorities
In your first year?
in my first year,
First year.
or ninth year? Right. I don't know how you sum up three main priorities in a system that has 3,000 students and a few hundred faculty in 5 different buildings with all different needs. That is really difficult to do. I would say priority number 1 is students. We offer our students a lot of opportunity. Our teachers do a great job with them. We got to make sure as we face things coming down the road, usually they come down from the state, we continue to focus on offering our students those opportunities. Which brings me to the second thing we'll have to deal with, and that's the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio is anti-public education, and we have to be nimble on our feet as a school board and how to handle what they throw at us. Just Monday, the county commissioners basically cut $242,000 out of our budget. So the school board's going to have to deal with that. How do we cut what we need to cut without cutting our students' opportunities? And third, you'll have to get later because that's going to be.
I guess my Kentucky accent's a little slow, so I'm going to try to speed up my answers here. My 3 priorities really are quite simple. 1 is fiscal responsibility, because I believe budgets reflect our values, so we have to keep that in mind. So fiscal responsibility, offering more opportunities for our students, and also being able to keep the educators that we have here. Because we have an amazing, and I came to this district with clear eyes completely. I had no emotional attachment. I did not go to school here. My kids didn't go to school here. I could look at your budget. I could look at what you're doing with programs and opportunities for our students, and I can say this is a fantastic school district. But if you're going to keep it that way, then you've got to keep your eye on what the priorities need to be, which are the students. And we live in a time where we're going to have to do more with less. And one of those things that we can control, we can't control Columbus, we can't control Washington, D.C., but things like legal expenses. I'll say this, legal expenses. We had a board member that joined a couple of years ago. First year that person was on the board, our legal expenses went up 172%. That's $150,000 in expenses. That's something that we could do something about, okay? We really couldn't because we had to deal with it. But that, if you're going to talk about fiscal responsibility, I just say, I challenge you, tell me how you're going to do that.
Yep. Thank you, Pat. Candidate Heisler, our next question begins with you. What actions can you take to uphold the integrity of the district and the board, reduce distractions, and keep education focused on student success?
Wow. Could you repeat that just one more time quickly? Sorry for the question.
What actions can you take to uphold the integrity of the board and district, reduce distractions, and keep education focused on student success?
I think the best way to eliminate distractions is to work together as a board, and it's again it's got to focus on the kids. We how do we not spend our this is all volunteer time on our part, and we should be there doing our best to work together for the kids and make sure that you teachers have enough to work with, and classroom, great classrooms, great equipment, great books to teach the students. I mean, that has to be our priority, and you have civility when everybody works together towards that. So.
Integrity.
Integrity, reduce distractions, and keep education focused on student success.
One thing you learn as a board member, I'm 1 member out of 5. So can I keep the integrity of the whole board? No. I can keep the integrity for myself. What you can count on from me is honesty. I'll give it to you. You know that. Most of you know that. Sometimes it's pleasant, sometimes it's not. But as far as my personal integrity, I guarantee that. The integrity of the board depends on 5 members. We have tried very hard to work together. We have been somewhat unsuccessful with that, and I think most of us know why. To lower distractions, we do try to keep the focus on the students. We do try to focus on policy, to focus on budget, to focus on the things Mrs. Chafowski and Dr. Throw are bringing forth to the board. You will not find me distracting anybody on social media, not there. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Can you repeat it one more time?
Actions you can take to uphold the integrity of the district and board, reduce distractions, and keep education focused on student success.
Okay, got it. Well, one thing that I've learned as a board member for even longer than Pat is that you don't have a unified board if you can't talk honestly and if you don't hold yourselves and your partners on that board accountable. And I am proud that our board has done that. We have held each other accountable. We hold each other accountable every board meeting. You know, we did something that I thought I would never do, vote to censure someone. Do you know what a high bar that has to be for me to have to do that? I think that's holding us accountable. And you can't say, well, we all have to get along and that's how you do a board. You know what? You know, you can't argue when you have, you know, your head in the mouth of a tiger. You know, you have to fight and you have to get priorities back in line. And you can't just do that by just getting along because it takes more than that. It takes more than that. So
Wow. 60 seconds is about as short as it gets.
I think the first thing that we need to do is have clear and open dialogue. You need to model the behavior that you want out of the community. You start by that clear and open and honest dialogue. It has to be civil. I hardly think name calling off the board is very civil. The second part that we need to do is hold ourselves accountable along with the others around us accountable. So return the focus on the students. Through this process, I think that there is a lot that we can do with the way we act and treat others that model for our students by returning it to the students. So less division, that only helps the students.
Thank you, candidates. Candidate Mead, our next question begins with you. Many school boards only hear from the loudest voices at the meeting. What specific methods will you commit to using to ensure families who face language, work schedule, or technology barriers are still represented in board decisions?
Shakespeare said, "Be not the first by whom the new is tried." Now that I'm the first one answering the question, I understand that. It's very difficult as a board member. We receive emails, we receive people talking to us on the street, but you're correct. The people that don't have a way to communicate with us, we may not hear. And so how are we making sure they're heard? I know personally, my life at Talawanda was connected with the underserved population students at Talawanda. I'm very connected with that population and am still connected with that population. I see former students from many parts of this district who don't come to meetings, who don't write letters, who don't speak up, who tell me how things are at their school. And for the most part, they're great. My former students love you all. They love the teachers. They love their different schools. But I try to listen to them and their needs about things. But it's very difficult, as you know. At some point, you have to knock on every door and ask every person what they're thinking before you know. It's a problem that I've yet to figure out how to solve.
Yeah, the technology divide that we still have is a really big problem, and I don't think that's something that a school board can necessarily solve. But one thing that I would like to do, and I know there's a technology barrier among ourselves as a school board, being able to televise our meetings, but we should go back to the time where we would, every few meetings, go to the different parts of this community. We have 144 square miles. That is an enormous, with only 3,000 students, enormous district. It's my understanding that in the past, we would go to the different parts of the district. I think we need to get back to doing that, and I think we could figure out a way to film our meetings and do the same thing. So that's one thing. We can't just be holed up in Oxford and have our meetings. We have our meetings at a particular point in time that I think is a little later than I think some school board meetings have. It's much later than the one I used to have. So I think that gives people an opportunity to come from work, home, and to be able to get to the meeting. And so we need to continue to do things like that.
Thank you,
I'm
Matt.
sorry, can you repeat
I'd
that
be
question?
happy to. What specific outreach methods will you commit to using to ensure families who face language, work schedule, or technology barriers are still represented in board decisions?
I feel like we do a really good job with showing, we videotape the board meetings, so they're on YouTube. Anybody that doesn't know that, you can look into YouTube. As far as the language barriers, I know that we can lean on technology for that between our phones and translation apps. Maybe that's something we need to look into at our board meetings, is have an electronic device there for translation, so every member has a chance to speak in the public comment section. I think we just need to be involved in our community. That's the biggest thing that we can do, is each one of us just needs to be involved in our community, whether that's just helping out at the schools or the food pantry, or just talking to members of the community respectfully. I think that's huge in closing that barrier.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Isaac.
All right, last but not least. What I would commit to is, I'm a very open person. People can call me, they can email me, they can write me letters, they can drop by my house. So I'm very open to dialogue with anyone who wants to talk about school issues. I also think what I've been thinking about is maybe each of the townships has a meeting either once or twice a month, and maybe having the school board members, or rotate, or maybe the whole school board members starting to attend those trustee meetings would be a good way to get out into the community and have access so that they can come and talk to us, not in a scary school environment, but more in a community environment that they're comfortable with.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Candidate Wyatt, we begin with you for this question. How do you envision building stronger partnerships with local organizations, businesses, and civic groups to support students in schools?
I think we do a really good job with that right now. I know our superintendent's actively involved in the chamber, and Rotary comes to meetings and things like that. And so we do that. I know we have a lot of educators, a lot of people in this audience that have connections and bring folks in the community into our schools, and we need to continue to do that every which way we possibly can. So I feel very confident that we do that. Can we do more? Yes. As school board members, I think we all are involved in certain civic organizations and speak at different groups. But it's very important to go out in the community and really talk about what we do, and talk about the great things that are happening in the school district, and how we can work as partners to make this a great school district. Because you can't just show up and say, hey, we need a levy and we need to do it now, but and not really build that framework over the years, what kind of investment that you're making as community members into the school district. And that starts with communication.
I'm gonna ask you to repeat it one more
Yes,
time.
yes. How do you envision building a stronger partnership with local organizations, business, and civic groups to support students?
To do is get out into the community and talk to the employers. They see a lot of the workforce, that's the new people that are coming out of the workforce, and their education and the needs that they have. Speak to the employers for skilled trades. there is a huge need for skilled trades. So by getting out in the community and talking to those employers, we'll figure out where we need to concentrate better at our schools. As far as the outreach programs, being involved, go to the food pantry, talk, kindly talk to your neighbor. I think that's key. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to get out and talk to the social organizations in the community, bring them up to speed on what's going on around the schools. A lot of those, the people that belong to those are also business owners. And I think with the right atmosphere, I think we can convince a lot of them to invest in Talawanda. We may need some special, I don't know, some special device, some special program, whatever, and maybe we can reach out to the community and say, you know, this is really important to the schools. Can you and 6 or 7 other businesses invest in this for the community and for the kids that you represent? And so I personally think that that's an important way to help our finances and engage with the community and get them involved and have some ownership in the Talawanda School District. Thank you.
Okay, I'm a school board member, I'm not an administrator. We have administrators that are super involved in this community. They're in the Rotary Club or in the Kiwanis Club. They're connected with people in the chamber. I am not. Just Mr. Davey, our high school principal, is connected with the colleges, working on CCP classes and other things. That's kind of their lane, to do that administrative work. I could be a public relations person, or I can sit in meetings to help people be brought together. I know as a Butler Tech board member, I was able to sit in a meeting with the City of Oxford, some healthcare providers, particularly Tri-Health, Butler Tech, Mr. Davey from our school, and we worked on that program that is now going to start in the high school in January. Basically, I was background. They did the work. My job was to be there in case one of the boards decided it wasn't worth the money. I would know enough to advocate for it. That's what I can do, is advocate for people. We have an administration that's great at being involved. That's their job.
Thank you, Pat. I'll take it. Thank you. Okay. Our next question comes to candidate Fry. As a district, we have let several qualified teachers and administrators leave our district for neighboring school positions. What do you propose the board could do better to help retain long-term qualified staff members to stay?
That's a great question. Right now, we are very competitive on salary, so we need to ask ourselves, why are our admins leaving? I think it has a lot to do with some of the culture that's happening within our schools. We need to get back to respecting each other. We need to have accountability. That means following the policies that are in the handbooks and also enforcing those policies with equality across the board. The board approved extra money for the admin. I believe a lot of that money should have went to the EAs and to the teachers. They are the frontline workers, and I think if we start doing that and concentrating on the teachers and the EAs a little bit more, that you'll have a better respect overall within our school district.
Thank you.
Okay. First, I think we need to start surveying the people that are leaving, and we probably do, I would imagine, but why are they leaving? Let's find out why people are leaving, and if there's, maybe it's they want to get more involved in some aspect of the teaching, or they want to be more engaged in something in the building that they're in, or who knows. Let's start finding out why people are leaving and seeing if there's things that we can do to alleviate those concerns, or make the job more, have a better enrichment for them, so that they do want to stay with Talawanda. this is a great school district. And, you know, as Corey says, I think we're pretty competitive from a salary standpoint, so there's got to be more than just money that's chasing people away. And the best thing to do is to contact them and find out why and try to alleviate those problems.
Pat, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, sir.
What would you propose the board could do better to help retain long-term qualified staff members to stay?
I'll dance around that question because I don't want to be too honest on film. Number one of the things we did recently was give all of our aides and kitchen workers, et cetera, a $2 an hour raise, and then on top of that, a 4%, 3%, 2%. For some of that was a 17% raise in the first year. I think that is a good thing to do for our aides. I think we address that. We're trying to treat them fairly. Our teachers, we try to keep in the middle range of the county. All right? Teachers, once they get 10 years in or so, it's tough for them to move because districts won't pay you at your rate. Except for Butler Tech, we will never compete with them. You have 23 years, you can go there and they'll pay you at the 23-year rate. So we aren't going to compete with them as far as money. Teachers will stay because they have so many years in and or they love it. Administrators, we compete with the districts small. We'll never compete with Lakota, Butler Tech, etc. We lose them because of money, and Mr. Fry is correct. We lose them because of part of the culture here, and I'll leave that blank.
Well, one thing that would help to keep administrators here is not a bunch of accusations about them personally. That would be the first thing. But look, it's a free market out there. We're not going to always be the most competitive for the top salary, but we're competitive. And what keeps people here is a good environment. Keeps people here at their job, are the friends that they have at work, and being in something that they're really committed to. That's what we have going for us. We're competitive with salaries for teachers and for staff. But, you know, the thing that I've seen over the years is just the churn rate, not, of course, at this district, but across the country, of principals, of assistant principals. The shelf life for those folks, quite small. I mean, I think it's like 2.7 years or something ridiculous like that. And that's hard. That's hard to continuously replace administrators, continuously. And that throws everything off. So we have to make sure that we're training people to be good administrators, and then we're keeping them here with good culture and a competitive salary.
Thank you, Mr. White. Okay, now, candidate Eisler, our next question is for you. Explain your understanding of recent funding issues created by Ohio legislatures and its impact on the Talawanda School District. Are there solutions that you favor?
Oh my. Can anybody explain Columbus? That's a very good question. Well, my understanding is that we have had, we set budgets and then we rescind budgets and we set budgets. Public schools have lost some funding lately based on budget cuts up in Columbus, which is totally ridiculous. If anybody has seen the funding that goes into Columbus, the amount of money they take in from all sources, it's a huge amount of money. For them to shortchange the schools is a crime. We don't even need or should depend on property taxes to fund the schools. There is so much money up in Columbus. Why there hasn't been a bigger cry about the stadium up in Cleveland and why that $600 million wasn't spent on education instead of a private enterprise, I can't tell you.
So to deal with the state's financial shenanigans?
Are there solutions that you favor?
Yes. Go out and vote in a different set of people in Columbus. This is really simple. That is the solution. Vote in a different set of people in Columbus. The set of people that's up there do not support public education the way public education should be supported. That's it. That's my solution. Now, I know we have to deal with what we have, and I've been, as Butler Tech representative and through Talawanda, I've been to Columbus and DC to advocate for public education with congressmen, with senators, with Thomas Hall and George Lang. I've met them all, I've had dinner with them, I try to sweet talk them, I do everything I can possibly do with all the charm I can muster to get them to see the importance of our public education system and investing in our children in the state of Ohio. So far I've been unsuccessful. I'm apparently not as charming as I think, or they're pretty bullheaded in their positions. But vote in a new set of people, please.
Yeah, I talk about this just about every meeting as the legislative liaison. I couldn't agree with Pat more. Until we solve who we elect in Columbus, this situation is going to continue. 2025 is the 200th year that Ohio has had public schools. And at no time in our history have we faced a more perilous time than right now. You cannot have two school systems that you fund in the state of Ohio. Constitutionally, we fund one. You can't take $2 billion out of public education and funnel it over to vouchers for private school. That's welfare for rich people. You can't do that and think that you're going to have a good public education. And by the way, public schools we serve over 80% of students in Ohio, okay? Everyone, if you're going to have a good economy, if you're going to have a future for a state, you can't shortchange public schools. You can't do it. And if you're a taxpayer, if you're a homeowner, you need to know why you have high property tax. It sure as heck isn't the school board that's the problem. It's Columbus.
Thank you, Mr. White. Candidate Fry?
I think I'm good. I don't need and I would totally agree. Columbus is a mess. I would agree that it's very concerning that they're going to be reducing the amount of money that's coming to the local and public schools. I think it's an overall a much bigger issue, though. I think there needs to be total tax reform in general, and a committee set up from both Republican, Democrat, Independent, everybody that's involved in public schools on good ways of how we should fund the schools. The biggest thing that I see that we can do here locally is just look at all of our spending and just try to maximize it, make sure it's sufficiently being spent the way it needs to, and that it's benefiting the students.
Thank you, candidates. Candidate Mead, we begin with you for this next question. How do you intend to strategically allocate limited financial resources without compromising the district's pedagogical integrity or marginalizing vulnerable student populations?
There's some big words in there. Okay. What we do on the school board, basically, is listen to the suggestions that are brought up through the system. I assume the leadership team is sitting down and working together when Dr. Thoreau brings us suggestions. So how do we take part in that? Well, for one, we trust the professionals. On the school board, I'm the only professional full-time K-12 educator, but the other people have had experience in education. But Dr. Thoreau and the leadership team know better how to allocate those resources. We've got to listen to them. The only example I can think of is what did we do when we had to cut the budget? And we looked at the things we needed to cut. And that was an example of what we would cut. And unfortunately, some of it gets too close to the center. And we shouldn't have to do that. So I would trust my professionals. I would make hard decisions as I did when we had to cut the budget and when we decided what to bring back. I'm not afraid of those decisions. Made me a lot of enemies.
I love this question. I love it because when I was in Kentucky, we were graded. One of the things we were graded on was closing the achievement gap. And I was part of a school district that made the investments that had the largest closing of an achievement gap of any district in Kentucky. And that's not just race, it's not just gender, it's income based. And we close that achievement gap by making smart decisions, by testing things, by being experimental, by being entrepreneurial in what we did in the classrooms. And then we found what worked, and then we did more of it. And that's how you close an achievement gap. That's one way to do it. And so how do we do that? 80% of our budget is salaries and benefits. We'll say you need to be more conservative and watch over budget. Well, when 80% of your budget is a fixed expense, now and we need to run it like a business, what business has 80% fixed expenses? Not one that's in business very long. Public schools, we educate everybody. Everybody. So this is the biggest question that I believe faces public education right now, is how do we not leave people behind?
Thank you, Mr. Wyatt.
I'm happy to repeat.
Yep. How do you intend to strategically allocate limited financial resources without compromising the district's pedagogical integrity or marginalizing vulnerable student populations?
I believe we need to rely on the people that are around it, us, the professionals, the treasurer, to make sure that all our funds are being used and all our resources are being used to benefit the students. So relying on the professionals, I would agree with that. As far as strategically making sure, what I'm not a big fan of, it seems like it's always the busing, or it's always student programs, or it's always student sports. I'm not a big fan of that. I understand a lot of the reasons why we went that route, but I'm not a fan of that. So, thank you.
I'm afraid, I'm sorry.
No. How do you intend to strategically allocate limited financial resources?
The obvious answer, and it's been up here, is you do have to depend on the professionals that are there, the superintendent, the principals in the school, teachers who are making suggestions on up the line. One of the things I think is a challenge, but is a requirement, is we're going to have to start thinking outside the box. I think we're going to have to start looking at alternatives, ways to achieve what we're doing today. Is there some technological way that we can achieve the same things in a cheaper way? I'm not saying that we can do that in all cases, but I think we need to start investigating different things that different schools are doing that have been successful. Let's not just stay in our own little space. Let's actually go out there and, well, this school has been successful doing this program. Let's go find out what they're doing and how they're doing it, and maybe we can follow on and do it ourselves.
Thank you, Tom. Candidate Wyatt, now we come to you with this next question. As a school board member, what role do you believe that you can play in advocating for fair school funding from the state?
Speak about it all the time, which is what I do. I believe in open communication and also repetitive communication, because it just can't be said enough. Just what we said a few minutes ago in another answer. The way we fund schools in Ohio is unconstitutional. It's been unconstitutional, ruled since the 90s. In my state, it was ruled in 1989 unconstitutional. We did something about it, had the largest educational reform effort in the United States history, and we need to do that in Ohio. Okay, we need to do that in Ohio. And also, how can you pass the CUP compromise of a few years ago and then not fully fund it? Continuously do that. How can you trust legislators? How can you trust your government that passes something and then two legislatures down the road say, well, we're not going to do that? That's insane. That is insanity. So citizens, you know what? We're running for school board, or we're on the school board. We're in the game. And you all in this room, you all, it's kind of the wrong audience, you're in the game. We need to get everybody else in the game. We need to get people involved and understand what's at stake.
Mr. Fry?
I'm good. The first thing we need to do is be able to talk to our senators and congressmen and advocate for our schools. I think open dialogue and showing them the needs that we have as a school district and as a community is key. As far as the voucher system, I would agree. I don't like the voucher system that robs from the public schools. I understand why some parents want the vouchers and why they want to send their students to private schools. But ultimately, I think if we do better here in our own schools, that a lot of that would come back to the public schools. The thing that I don't like with the voucher system is it does hurt the lower income families in our district.
I'm good. Yeah, I agree. I think there's very little as individual board members that we can do to affect Columbus. What we need to do is we need to engage the community, because the only way, it's a numbers game in Columbus. So the more noise that they get, the more action that they take. So individual board members, you know, we can yell and jump up and down and you know, advocate all we can, but until the community starts getting involved and you know, we can maybe help direct them as to what areas to bug Columbus about, but it takes all the community. Just 5 of us would never be able to move anything in Columbus. So, Mr. Mead? Oh, sorry.
As I mentioned before, I've been to Columbus a number of times and tried to advocate with people. It is a slow, laborious process, and it's about building relationships and bringing people along. At our last meeting, Senator Lang actually said, you know, the voucher system has problems because really those schools get to choose their students. It's not just about students choosing school. And I thought, progress, a little bit of progress. I figured by the year 2050 we'll have him. The other thing that we've done at Talawanda is, as a board, we voted to join the lawsuit against the voucher system. So we are investing some of your taxpayers' money, I think it's $2 a student, to sue the state to get this ruled unconstitutional. That is an investment that hopefully brings us back way more money, okay? Some people would say, why would you spend that money? It's an investment in our students, and it's an investment in our future, and I'm proud we joined that lawsuit.
Thank you, Mr. Mead. Candidate Fry, we come to you with this next question. And we now pivot beyond budget issues and reducing spending. Beyond that, what is your vision of what the school board's role is?
Well, the school board's role is managing the school district. We rely on the superintendent and the treasurer to do the educational process. We're managers of the business side of it. I think we can advocate for the superintendent and the teachers. Sorry. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Corey.
Well, what we need to do outside of just the finances, we need to help focus on education. We want the best education we can have for our students. We want safety. We want to make sure the students are all safe, feel safe, and you know, all that isn't on an island. We work with staff and to make sure that happens. I guess that's all I have on that one as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Could you repeat it?
Beyond budget issues and reducing spending, what is your vision of what the school board's role is?
Number one, we try to give you all, the teachers and the staff, the resources they need. That's kind of budget-wise. But the other thing I think we need to do is create a culture where you feel empowered, where you feel safe. Because if I'm going to improve the performance of my students, the thing that matters is the aides and the workers and the teachers in the buildings in our district. I watched Lakota have problems on their board, and their state report card went down to 3.5. The problems got removed, their state report card grades are going back up. The board creates part of the culture where you do not feel afraid. You don't think someone's going to go through your personnel file. You don't think someone's going to call out and accuse you of things. And our job as a board member is to empower you to feel safe enough to do your job that you do so well with our students. And I guess I'm pretty passionate about that. Everything else we should stay out of. But I want you to know we have your back.
That was a really good answer. What he said. No, I mean, as a school board member, our role is pretty straightforward. We do the budget, but we also hire the superintendent and treasurer. Okay, and we hold them accountable and we work with them as a team, and we do everything that we possibly can to make their job easier. But above that, our job is to advocate for this district. Our job is to have your back as educators, and to make sure our students have a place where every student can thrive. That's what a school board member should do. Anything above that, all of this nonsense, junk that we've seen, that is something a school board member does not do. That is not anything that is actually written down. That's what a school board member does. I believe in sticking in my lane as a school board member, because you have 5 of us. If we're all doing that, if we all have good intentions, if we all are doing everything we can to lift up our people and our students, then we're doing our job, and I'll continue to do that.
Thank you so much, Matt. Now, candidate Heisler, our next question is for you. This first sentence is a statement, and then I come to the question.
Okay.
At this point, any after-school extracurricular activities scheduled before 6 p.m. cannot be accommodated with bus transportation due to the new school schedule, which puts the onus on parents and student drivers. Now the question. Is continued transportation to away functions for school sports and activities a priority for you? And do you have any other ideas for how to address the issue?
No, I think we always should support our sports teams. We need to find ways, certainly we need to find ways to transport our students, athletes to away games. That just goes without saying. I don't even know why we would think about that we shouldn't. I understand the problem, with the bus routes. We've got the 2-tier bus route now. But we need to find ways to free up buses for away games for students that are going, because it's a key part of their learning and the spirit of the school. And so to do otherwise, I think it's not fair to the parents, it's not fair to the students.
Thank you. Mr. Meade?
Could you just repeat the statement and not the question?
Sure. The statement. At this point, any after-school extracurricular activities scheduled before 6 p.m. cannot be accommodated with the bus transportation schedule due to the new schedule, which puts the onus on parents and student drivers.
Okay. I did vote against the new schedule, but that's all right. Busing is an issue. Busing is an issue for a number of reasons, and part of it is we don't have enough bus drivers. I think we have enough buses. How to solve that problem? In my opinion, that's an administrative problem. I would hope that maybe between the bus company and the leadership team and the athletic department and the other extracurriculars that are affected, they can come forward with a solution. The solution will cost money. The solution will cost money, and we'll have to look at the price per pupil crowd and say, if you want this solution, it will cost money. And then we'll have to determine, can we spend it? And if we spend that money, will we actually be able to attract drivers to be there to complete the routes? Which means we might have to raise the rates we pay our drivers, which again is spending money, and then that price per pupil goes up, and that crowd says, why are you doing that? Everything costs money, all right? That's the solution, unfortunately.
I believe, so as someone who rode the bus for years in my life, I believe in busing. On my application to be to be on the school board, one of the first things I said was, when I met with all my fellow school board members, I said that straight up. I said, I know I'm probably the vote to do that, and I want to do that the first meeting, and we did that. And there's pros and cons to that, but I will tell you, when you talk about we need to look at cost, that decision, glad we did it, it's a $500,000 decision. Okay, you wouldn't think that, but it is. So every little thing that we want to do that seems fair, we really can't do. As I mentioned earlier, this is a 144 square mile district. That's an enormous landmass. We have a lack of bus drivers. And that's not us, that's across the country. It's ridiculous. And so lack of bus drivers, lack of buses, cost, these are all things that are on my mind. I'd love to solve it, but I don't believe it's something we're going to be doing this fiscal year.
Thank you, Matt. Candidate Fry?
This is a very difficult question because we have a very limited number of bus drivers right now. We just don't have the bus drivers to do it. One thing that we should probably be looking at is maybe doing some third-party busing. I would like all of our students to be successful in their sports and be able to attend their sports. But there are third-party busing programs that are out there, and maybe we should explore it. Unfortunately, it costs money, and with the reduction of cost or reduction of the funds that are coming, it's going to be very difficult to do that. Maybe we should try to lean on the community more and the boosters more, and try to get more community involvement to allow for funding for some of those third-party buses, especially for some of the smaller teams.
Corey. Candidate Mead, our next question is for you. Are there any changes or improvements you would like to see in how athletics are managed or funded in our schools?
I have not put thought into this question at all. I look at the athletic department and I think it's being run well. I have not heard anything different. I have not noticed anything different. Would I love that kids could do it free without pay to play? I would love that. When I got on the board for my first term, one of the things we did was we voted to take pay to play down to 0. It was a different time. It was a different financial condition. That was one thing I really valued, that kids could partake in things without paying. Life changes, the money situation changes, reality changes, and when you're in a position of governing, sometimes you have to make decisions that you don't like perfectly, that you're not totally comfortable with, and you have to be willing to do that. And unfortunately, we've had to do that. And so we now are back to pay to play. I wish we didn't have it. I don't see a solution unless some rich donor wins the lottery and takes care of it all. Sorry.
I think we have a great athletic director. We have great programs. I'm a huge sports person, and I never heard of pay to play. But when I came here, I was like, you really have to explain this to me. And the cost of it, it's pretty astronomical. I think it's pretty outrageous, but evidently in Ohio, a lot of districts do this, and it's culturally kind of accepted that that's what districts do. Never heard of it. I thought, hey, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna either take it down in half or eliminate it. Well, then I sat down with Shauna and we went over the numbers and what that would entail, and I quickly realized, maybe not right now, because you do it, but if you're gonna take something away, you gotta add something, and vice versa, and there's just really no way to do that at this time with the funding situation that we have, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I think it's a travesty that you have to pay to play, but there's not a real good answer for it.
Thank you, Matt. Corey.
Thank you. I like where our athletic programs are right now. We all would like more money, that way it would be free. I think anybody would say that. Unfortunately, we're just not living in that world right now. I think what we're paying to play right now is fair. What I would like to see is maybe some money set aside for more scholarship programs for lower income families. Thank you.
Yeah, they have a sure. Are there any changes or improvements you would like to see in how athletics are managed or funded?
Well, I'm certainly not close enough to the details to be able to talk any about how they're managed. From what I've seen, things are running well, but that's certainly from an outside view looking in. Don't know the inside of that particular part of this question. Funding is a tough question. Pay to play has, you talk about the fact that it's become norm. Well, about 20 years ago, people were all up in arms about it because it was fairly new in Ohio, and people were pretty pissed off about it, frankly. But as we kept doing it, people have kind of, said, okay, I guess that's what we're going to have to do. But I think our obligation is try to always keep that pay-to-play money as minimal as possible, to make it affordable for as many kids, and find ways for the low income, again, maybe boosters or a raffle or something to allow the lower income folks to participate as well.
Thank you, Tom. Candidate Wyatt, our next question is for you. This is a two-part question. What measures would you use to evaluate Talawanda's success academically? In what areas do you believe Talawanda is seeing success? And what areas do you believe need improvement?
Yeah, 1 minute. First of all, I've never been a big believer in the obtuse world that we live in, that we judge school districts by test scores. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world that we do. You have to have test scores, you have to have some measure of judgment, but I think judging just on that, what I judge on, what I look for, are outcomes. Most school districts in the country right now have roughly about the same number of students that go to college, let's say. What I like is to really dig deeper into those numbers. How many students are there after the first year? How many students are there after 3 years or 5 years? How many graduate? That to me tells me that we are getting students college ready. Now what are we doing on the career ready, which I am very passionate about? I think we're doing a great job. We have a great partnership with Butler Tech. We do an amazing thing. We have a new nursing program. We need more career pathways. I'm used to a lot of career pathways, from teaching to everything else. We need to do that more here in this district. We're doing it. We need to invest more in it. But we need to get all our students on some pathway and make sure that they have a better outcome.
Thank you, Matt. Candidate Fry?
Thank you. There has to be some sort of metric that we measure our students by. I'm not big on the state testing, but there has to be some sort of metric. We need to come together and try to find a little bit better metric than just based off testing. One thing I've noticed too is with the transition to Chromebooks and electronics, it's very easy for students to look at the answer versus how you got to that answer, the critical thinking aspect. We need to work on the critical thinking aspect within that. As far as the business side, I think we need to bring more shop classes back into our own high schools. Over the years, we've seen a lot of reduction of shop classes, whether it be woodworking, industrial. I know we brought some back here recently, and I have to say the nursing program, absolutely awesome. I am totally for that. Thank you.
Very good.
I'm going to have to ask you to.
Yep, absolutely.
That's a long one.
Absolutely. What measures would you use to evaluate Talawanda's success academically? And what areas do you believe Talawanda is seeing success? And what areas do you believe need improvement?
I personally, I think there's a couple of critical times. You get to third grade, and if you can't read, you're going to struggle the rest of your school career. We really need to evaluate kids in the early education to make sure that they are strong learners, and we need to improve anything we can do to make sure that I think the report card showed that there was a 60% proficiency rate in third grade in the latest report card. That has to come up, and we need to figure out ways to do it. The second area that I think that we really need to focus on is similar to what we've heard already, is we need to look after graduation. We need to start polling colleges. We need to start polling employers that our students are going to, and let's have them report back to us areas that they could see that we should improve our teaching to make those students and future students be more successful.
Thank you, Tom.
I think we're stuck with the state report card whether we like it or not. We have to deal with the reality of that situation because that's what the public looks at. So that is one measure we have to keep in mind, whether we totally agree with it or not. It is an important measure that we are bound by, so to speak. I think one of the most important things on that measurement is our graduation rate. If you don't walk out with a high school diploma from your school system, you are put behind forever. You are put behind forever. Your military career, your college career obviously won't exist. Your job career is going to stagnate. And that's one place we have experienced some success. And that's just not due to what goes on at the high school. That's all the way up, because those kids didn't get to the high school not able to read. That was teachers in lower grades teaching them that. So I think that is one of the big important ones for me. I think having them career ready or college ready is good, but we do have the partnership with Butler Tech. We can't afford all those shop classes. They take up a lot of equipment, but we work well with Butler Tech. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Candidate Fry, we come to you for this next question. Do you feel it is important to employ a staff with different backgrounds, viewpoints, and experiences?
I love that question. Absolutely. I love the diversity. I think when we have diversity, we have a open dialogue and new ideas and free-flowing ideas. It's very important that we have a diverse background. And I would like that anywhere, whether it's in the business side or anywhere else. I think it's good to have people that have different viewpoints, because great ideas come from viewpoints, different viewpoints. Great dialogue starts with different viewpoints. Problem solving starts with great different viewpoints. So I love that question. Thank you.
Diversity in knowledge, diversity in culture, beautiful things. To be able to explain to students how, let's say, someone from India, their culture and how their marriage rituals are different than our marriage rituals, or someone that's come from Africa and maybe seen some struggles there, that they can, kids here have it, pretty good compared to some of the people in Africa, and they can maybe relate some of those things to the students, so they have a wider world view. That's very important as far as I'm concerned.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes.
That's really my way of stalling.
Do you feel it is important to employ a staff with different backgrounds, viewpoints, and experiences?
So we didn't really discuss employing a different staff, because how do you employ a staff with diversity? Right? That is a more difficult question, right? So do you mean diversity economic-wise? Do you mean diversity educationally-wise? Do you mean diversity cultural or ethnicity-wise? And then if you feel that diversity is important, how do you then achieve that goal? In this world, DEI is, a questionable hot topic button, right? And I'm glad both of these gentlemen agreed that diversity is really important. I'm glad we got that. So I know that if I'm not elected, that will continue to be a goal of the district. Achieving that goal in Oxford, Ohio is much more difficult. Drawing people here of a diverse ethnic or racial background is much more difficult, just because we're isolated up here in this little community and we're pretty diverse. I know as a parent of black children and a black grandchild how important it is that our students see people like them and read books that include pictures of people like them. I guarantee that is key to their success in our schools, and we can't let anybody keep us from reading those books or seeing those people.
Hey, here's a news flash from the past. Diversity is a strength, not a weakness. Yeah, I believe very strongly in diversity. Even though I come from a rural place, our district was extremely diverse. Not just black and white, but students from India and Japan because of the factories and hospitals that we had there. It was our strength. And I believe that you have to have a teaching staff that looks like a lot of the students. Okay, and what we had to struggle with where I came from, and it started to work, and it takes a while, is a grow your own operation, which is identifying students of color, students from different backgrounds that might have an interest in education. Nurture them, get them into a system. We had a pathway for teaching. We do that in hopes that they come back to our district because we couldn't recruit people to come to Elizabethtown, Kentucky, to meet our needs for diversity. So we had to grow our own. When I left, it was working, and I hope they continue to do that. It's something maybe we should look at here.
Thank you, Matt. Candidate Heisler, our final question is for you. Yes. What will you do to better connect with parents, staff, and the voting population, that is to say, the taxpayers of the Talawanda School District?
I think I've answered this before. The best way to do that is to make yourself accessible, and that I pledge to do. You'll be able to call me, you'll be able to email me, you'll be able to, if you want to knock on my door, you can knock on my door. I don't have a mean dog, by the way, so you don't have to worry about that. So the best way to make yourself is to make yourself available to be able to connect with people in the community and the staff. So they don't need to be afraid of me. I don't repeat things that people say to me to other people. So whatever you say to me, would stay with me, and that I pledge that as well. So I'm not a blabber. I may, in general terms, talk about what people say, but I certainly would not repeat who and what we specifically talked about. So.
Thank you, Tom.
Could you repeat the question?
What, absolutely. What will you do to better connect with parents, staff, and the voting population?
First of all, Butler Tech is opening up its teacher academy, and so Talawanda High School and middle school teachers, if you want to encourage students to get in that program that'll start junior year, it'll be at the D. Russell Lee campus, because Butler Tech, we've realized that besides nursing, teaching is another career. We better encourage people to get in because there's a shortage. Now, as far as speaking to anybody, I will speak to anybody, anywhere, at any time, but they may not knock on my door, and they may not call my phone. I know when I ran for election last time, I put out 150 flyers in Riley, 150 flyers in Milford Township, 150 flyers in Hanover Township, and offered to meet people at each of the parks in those communities, and one person showed up in Milford. I am willing to talk to anybody. Whether anybody's willing to talk to me, I don't know. But I've always made that offer to people. When people come up to me after school board meetings and they're angry about something, I said, get 10 of your friends, I'll meet you at your place, or I'll meet you at a neutral place, and I'll talk to you and I'll listen to you. Anytime, anywhere, anybody.
Oh yeah, I love to talk to people, especially if they don't agree with me. So I'll meet with anybody, I'll talk to you. And but one thing that I've noticed about this community, being a newcomer, is there ain't nobody shy about talking to me about anything. I can't go to Kroger, and this is not an exaggeration. I go to Kroger probably 5 times a week. Sometimes about one thing, because I'm old now. And there's not a time that I do not have at least one person come up to me and talk to me, who knows who I am. We really should be kind of anonymous for school board members. They shouldn't know a lot of things about us, in my opinion, but they do, and they follow it. And I've got more emails on a given month, no exaggeration either, than I had in 10 years. You know, and we raised taxes 10 years in a row where I came from, and you'd think we'd have a lot of people. Anyway, not one email. Here I have more emails. So people are engaged, people know what we're doing, And so I think that's a great thing about our community is the openness and willingness to engage with the office holders.
Thank you, Matt. Candidate Fry?
Be involved, be engaged, be visible, and listen. I think that those are the key aspects of bringing that to light. Thank you.
Very good. Candidates, thank you so much for your responses to these questions. You did not see them ahead of time, and we thank the Talawanda Educators Association and the parent-teacher groups for these questions. So now we come to a closing statements. You will have 60 seconds each. We'll begin with Mr. Mead. Candidate Mead, we begin with your closing statement.
If I got a little too passionate tonight, I apologize. Passion is probably my greatest gift, but also my greatest weakness. Sometimes it causes me to get myself in trouble. But I'm very passionate about Talawanda schools. I've been passionate about them since I came to Oxford, Ohio as a freshman in college and got in a Big Brother program and was a big brother to a young man at Kramer School. That's how long I've been involved in this district, and I'm passionate about our success, our students, our staff. This is a wonderful place, and I want to keep it that way. Our problems are not on the student level or the staff level. We have some problems on the board level. I promise we'll continue to work on those, and we'll continue to try to be the board that you and our students deserve. So I want to thank you for allowing me this chance to address you, and I hope to get your vote in November.
I want to thank you all for being here and for the great questions that we had tonight. I don't think I've ever been on a panel as a school board member with these types of questions, these types of thoughtful questions. So I think that says a lot about what you all care about. You know, public education is on the brink right now. And I think that all of us that are running care about that. But we really have two paths we can go on, I believe, here at Talawanda. I think the board that we have right now, I think most of us, we are together. We are unified. We have one mission that we want to do. Even though we may disagree with each other on how we get there, we have good intentions and we want what's best for our students and for our staff. But we need to make sure that we have a community that is also behind us, that is working with us. And that's what I want to do for the next 4 years.
Thank you, Matt. Corey?
I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight. I want to thank the TEA again for putting on this event. And I want to ask for forgiveness for my lack in public speaking skills because I'm not the greatest. But I'd be more than happy to sit down one-on-one with any of you and answer any questions that you may have. My heart is sincere in why I'm running for school board. I think the majority of us have a lot more that binds us together than sets us apart. And I think a community focused on education of our students that's focused together as community will help mend a lot of the issues that are going on. Thank you.
Well, as the only one that's using notes. But I also want to thank everyone for being here tonight, for your attention. Everyone was very rapt in listening to what we had to say. Certainly proud to have been part of the forum and appreciate the opportunity again. I believe that education is the cornerstone of our community and the society in general. And I think that I can bring new ideas and different perspectives. And I'd like you to join me in my desire to propel the district upwards to new heights, because I think we can reach those new heights. And so I also would appreciate your vote in November. And again, you guys have a safe trip home and appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Tom. Candidates, thank you for your engagement in this town hall tonight. Community, would you join me in just giving thanks to the candidates for their time? Thank you. Now, after we adjourn in just a moment, just outside of this room, the candidates said that they will be available for questions should you choose to have questions for them for a short period of time. I want to thank the Talawanda Educators Association for convening this town hall. Thank you, TEA. Thank you to the community here. Again, you are weavers of community. This is our shared future, and I appreciate how each of the candidates named that tonight. I want to echo what Matt said. Thank you to the Oxford Lane Library for hosting this event tonight and giving us this great room. So now, at this time, as we adjourn, the TEA will assist the library staff in putting away the chairs and cleaning up. And in order to clean the room, because the library will be closing in approximately 30 minutes. So, friends, I do want to thank you again for coming. Remember, again, the date for the election is November 4th. Polls open at 6:30 a.m. and close at 7:30 p.m. Let us go in peace into this good night, and thank you again for your time. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.